So I'm cruising my local toy aisle the other day, and I happened to look over on the pegs and I see these Fortnite figures. And the first thing that goes through my mind is, oh goody, more junk. Because, I mean, let's face it, action figures lately have been, especially the 3 3/4, 4-inch action figures, have been pretty scarce good stuff. So I see this thing and I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, nah, I'm not too interested. It looks like garbage. So I flip it over on the back and I see this little cowgirl and I'm thinking, ooh, maybe that, hey, little cowgirl. I like westerns. I love cowgirls and cowboys and horses and stuff. So let's take a look at it. And I finally found her and picked her up, opened her up, took a look at her. And I have to say, this is one of the nicest action figures I have seen in a long, long time. First impression was junk, but when I got it out of the pack, wow, I'm really super impressed with this little action figure. One thing that really impresses me about her is the mix of the types of plastics that are used in this thing. You've got the softer plastics, like in the coat. When you see her in the bubble, you look at the coat and you look at the poncho here, and you're thinking, okay, this is gonna cause the arm here not to raise up. I'm not gonna get a lot with the legs there, but it's this soft rubbery style plastic that's it's really cool, and it bends really well. And you can get her into a lot of really nice poses. The poncho here does not really hamper her arm movement all that much. Yeah, it keeps it from going all the way up, but it doesn't really harm it at all. I'm really impressed with the way the figure works and the way they've worked all this out. Now, I'm not going to go through a lot of articulation on these things because, I mean, and she fell off the stand there. And because everybody does articulation, but I want to mention something that I've seen some of these reviews, and there's a couple of things in here that people aren't really talking about when they talk about the articulation. And one of the things that we're looking at and everybody's missing is, I don't know if you can see that because I got a pretty crappy camera, but right in there, she has, everybody's talking about a ball jointed head, but she doesn't have a ball jointed head, so to speak. Yeah, there is a ball there, but there's also a hinge there. There's a hinge right here in the bottom of her neck, and it really helps her head move forward and backward. It's really hard to tell. It's really hard to see. But her head moves forward and backward. And if you move her head back and then tilt it back, you get a lot more range of motion there with this little hinge. And anybody who is familiar with building like a Gundam model will know this little hinge piece that's right in here. It is a really awesome little piece. It moves very, it doesn't have a lot of range of motion there, but it helps with the ball joint in the head and the hair and everything. It really helps her pivot her head. Another thing that I've noticed that people aren't talking about is here in the wrist, and right there in the wrist, right here, I don't know if you can see that or not. If I get it on camera, you can. Right here in the wrist, there's a hinge there. A lot of people are talking about how the wrist pivots and turns. And yeah, that's, they do. But check it out. She also has some wrist movement here that's really cool that not a lot of people are talking about. And I know a lot of people are talking about how like an old G.I. Joe figure or a modern era G.I. Joe figure these guys are, and they really are, but don't sell the old Star Wars figures short, because we've got a thigh cut right here that G.I. Joe does not have. and a lot of the Star Wars do. Of course, Star Wars is kind of, wow, they're kind of hit and miss on articulation. Some of the figures that I've messed with anyway are really weird on their articulation, and it's kind of maybe not so great. But this girl right here, this figure, her articulation is pretty awesome. You can't get her arms all the way down, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, you've got plenty of room to do poses, and I'll try to put some pictures at the end of the video to show a little bit of some of her range of movement there. What has really caught my eye is her design and the design of these figures overall. There's a lot of stuff here that doesn't really need to be here, but it's still here, you know. Like under the coat, we have the fringe on her thigh there. That's really awesome. That really doesn't need to be there because we have the coat over it, but it's there nonetheless. The design on the boots and the style here in the boots is really cool with the spurs and everything, the way all that works together. You have the jacket with a little bit of the raised relief here, some of this detail that is painted in, and that's really cool. That didn't really need to be there. I think it's a pretty awesome figure overall. Her eyes and her face are just fantastic. Now, the eyes on this thing, normally, you know, you get a figure and the eyes are a little wonky looking and kind of messed up. But this, she's beautiful. Absolutely fine. And then she comes with this. And I'll hold it out here. The only thing I could call that is a whooping stick. You know, that's the only thing I could call it, is a big old whooping stick. And, you know, she carries it really well. Let's get it in her hand here if we can. And she holds it really well in both hands. And I think that thing is called a reckoning, and it is a harvest tool. I really don't know anything about Fortnite, the video game. I know it's a player versus player, like a big battle royale thing. Not my thing. So I don't play the game, but I am interested in these figures, and I was only going to pick her up and see how she looked, because, you know, like I said earlier, she has the Western theme, and I think that's pretty cool. But, you know, seeing the quality of this figure and the design on this figure, and the pains that Jazzwares went to produce this thing, and the amount of detail that's on this figure. If my wife will let me, I'm going to have to buy a couple more of these things, you know what I mean? So if you're out there and you're looking for something, and you're kind of like me, because I was kind of feeling kind of down and kind of nasty, because there's nothing out there right now. They're not making G.I. Joe, and that's the thing that I'm normally into. And I don't like the 6-inch figures. I like 3 3/4 inch, and I like 4-inch figures. There's not really been a lot of offering out there lately that's been a lot to talk to. A lot of it's just been, you know, cheap-made junk. But these Jazzwares Fortnite figures, these things are awesome. Or at least this one is. I'm going to try to snag another one and take a look at it. Maybe I'll crack it open live and we'll take a look at it together. But my final thought on this, if you've seen these things and you're kind of like me, you were just walking by them thinking, you know, maybe they're worth something, maybe they're not, give them a shot. Because these things are really cool. They most of them come with a little base that can be incorporated into the little building sets that they get. There are little loot boxes where you can get weapons. It's it was really strange that this figure, it did not come with a weapon of any sort. It came with a harvesting tool, and that's it. And I kind of think that's cool as well. That if you want weapons, then you're going to have to buy a little bit of money for them, or pay a little money for them. I mean, so if you've been looking at them and you've been on the fence, if you see Calamity, pick her up. She is an awesome figure. I have been eyeballing some of the others, and now that I have Calamity, I'm definitely going to have to go snag another one or two of these things because they are really cool. They fit with all my other figures, modern era G.I. Joe, core figures, the new core figures that came out a year or so ago. Those are really awesome too. Just on a side note, if you've not checked those out, check those out because those things are awesome. They are really cool. But as far as the Fortnite figures, hey, I'm sold. It's a good deal. They're a little high, but at the same time, with the detail in these figures, you're getting a good quality figure. So that's all I have to say about it right now. I hope to find another one of these things, snag another one, and I hope to have another one of these little reviews up pretty soon. Thanks for watching. If you have, first shot at it. And I hope I do okay. I hope I've entertained you and haven't bored you to death. And I appreciate it. And you have a good day. And let's hope that G.I. Joe comes back so we have something real to collect. And have a good day. Enjoy these Fortnite figures. And I'll see you some other time. Bye-bye.